I've never ever been in a cell before. This is the only time I've ever been in one. I remember being bullied a lot in school, but I felt like that was actually quite positive. And I didn't let. I do feel like with bullying, like as you've sort of been bullied, you either go one way or the other way.
Yeah.
And one way is actually coming out of it stronger and better, and actually being thankful you got bullied, because that's exactly what I am. Leaving school, I'm actually happy.
Makes you a stronger person.
I had low-life people bullying me, because it actually really helped me build character, build confidence. But you know what's good about with your situation, walking? It's literally just giving your mental space. It's about putting you in a space where it's actually for you. This walk is going to be good for me.
Serious topic, and I don't appreciate hate anyway. Constructive criticism is fine, but as Jack said, this is actually for us a very serious topic.
And welcome back to the Chat All About It podcast in lockdown, Sam.
Yeah, lockdown again. I'm still here. I'm here, just on the other screen. It's a shame that we're not together, mate. It's hard times, but we've got to keep the pod going.
Exactly. I do think that is important, that we still sort of come back in this show and be with high spirits and face this lockdown together with positivity. That's how we're going to beat it, Sam.
That is exactly how we're going to beat it. And I think today's topic, although may sound a bit dark, there's positivity at the end. So, stay tuned for the positive messages that we're going to be spreading at the end.
Yeah. I do think it's really important, though, just to stress to you now that this is going to be quite a serious podcast. I personally have been sort of trying to push it back for a while, because I didn't want to come across with such a strong podcast. But to be honest with you, we've just entered lockdown, and I feel like it is appropriate to actually talk about this head on, this issue. And what it is mental health. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the struggles that we have suffered in the past, and how we personally have come away from it, and what we've learned from it, and basically just the journey that we've both had. We've actually had very different journeys, I'd say, Sam. Like, you've had a different one to what I've had.
Yeah, I've suffered with mental health twice. Once when I was a little bit younger, and once, this year really, during the first lockdown. And it's like I said, it can get a little bit dark, and I apologise if people are maybe shocked by the sort of things that we're going to say, but it is a really serious topic, and I'd urge anyone that is suffering or feels like they're suffering to open up about it, because it is something difficult to talk about. And I think the fact that we've both overcome that struggle, we're more than happy to talk about it. I think we're in agreement with each other there, mate.
Yeah. I do remember, though, like, from a very young age, feeling like, you know what, I could never get the feeling of anxiety. I heard a lot of people suffering from anxiety in secondary school, and I thought, how the hell can you feel in that way? Like, how can you feel anxiety? I always thought that word was such a weird word. It was almost like I thought people chose to be anxious.
Yeah.
And I never really tasted anxiety for a while, to be honest with you. I think the first time, but this is funny though, because when it hit me really hard, anxiety, and I actually suffered for it for a good year, really struggled with it.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
So mine's mine sounds really, really dark. So mine started when my first, I'd say, proper job, when I started working in recruitment in the city. Something I wanted to do for a very long time, and I was told, oh, you'll be really good at this, you're good at sales, you're good at talking to people. Kind of went hand in hand, and I was good at it. And ultimately it was when I got promoted to work on a difficult project that maybe the sales or the commission stopped coming in, and people were saying to me, oh, I'm making 30k in commission, Sam, you're making nothing, and all this. And it was before they'd even like got the placement there. They were like, you're shit, you can't do this, how do you sleep at night knowing you're not making any money?
So your sort of trauma is from a verbal side, really. It's like verbal
the first one,
warfare.
The first one is more verbal, and it was a sort of thing where it really, really got on top of me. And you know me, mate, and anyone who knows me is I'm quite I can be quite outspoken, and I don't really let things affect me, and I don't really care, if I'm honest. Like, people can think whatever they want about me, and I couldn't care less. And when I was a little bit younger, it just really got on top of me. Like 3 or 4 people basically saying, "You're shit. You're useless. How why do you even come to work? You're pathetic." And it was at that point where my manager was pulled me aside and was like, "Sam, you haven't really been yourself recently. What's going on?" And I said that I kind of explained what was going on in my head, and she was like, "It sounds like you're suffering from depression." And I was like, "Nah, like surely not, like because it's the sort of thing you're kind of in denial about, like you don't really want to open up and talk about it." And yeah, it was just like when I came to terms with it and spoke to someone about it, they said, "Yeah, you're suffering with a very small, like very brief depression." And I was like, "Okay, how do I overcome that?" And then they asked me all these questions, and I like questions that I never thought I'd be asking in my life. So things like, have you ever considered taking your own life? And I was like, sorry, like, what are you on about? That's mental. Obviously, my response was no. But then when I had thought about it, it was a sort of instance where I was so unhappy at work, like, and I wasn't happy to talk to anyone about it, that I generally thought on my way to work, I was like, things are going really shit for me. I could just end it now. Basically, like that's such a dark thought. Like, never would have dreamt to have that kind of thought in my life. But
I feel like it's quite weird in a way. I think when it comes to suicide, like obviously it's very serious, and I feel like maybe some people genuinely are upset, but they never ever think about it until it's mentioned. Like if someone horrible says, "Oh, you know what, you should just kill yourself," then it becomes an idea, and maybe that's unfortunate road that someone takes.
Yeah.
But I mean, personally with me, I do remember having my first ever anxiety attack. I haven't had one since, and it really just made me feel like, wow, this is it. Like I actually felt like I deserved it. I felt like I was sort of saying to the clouds, I was saying like, what is anxiety? Like it's a load of rubbish, and then bang, it happened. And basically, I'm not going to go through the story. I'm never ever going to talk about this story, but I'll tell you how it happened. That I was in a cell in a police station, and I was there for 23 hours. You're legally supposed to be there for 24, so I felt like they did that on purpose.
Well, just to kind of like mess with your head.
Yeah, and I've never ever been in a cell before. This is the only time I've ever been in one, and I just remember getting in. I checked in for about 2 a.m. or something like that, and I just remember I'll never forget like walking in and seeing nothing in this room. Literally, I think there was a tap and a bed. Turning round and this big huge door to be closed and locked just set me straight away. It put me in this sort of, wow, when has this ever happened to you, Jack? You're in a room, you have no choice but to be in here. You've got no way out, you've got no window, you've got nothing. It's just this big concrete cage. And I remember just mental warfare in my head. It was absolutely agonizing. Like, it was so weird that I couldn't just chill out. I couldn't relax. That whole 23 hours, I was panicking. I was sort of like, I mean, when I actually had my attack, I was hyperventilating and I was really struggling to breathe. I was sweating. I was sort of delirious. Like I could sort of, at some points I thought I saw things. It was crazy. Like, can you imagine being on your own?
Well, mate, you basically had your rights taken away from you.
Yeah, like that I've never not had. And also like just hearing people banging on the wall, like in the cell next to me, and just crazy people like shouting down. It really gave me a taste of what prison could have been.
Yeah.
And it absolutely terrified me. I just feel like I'm such a normal person. I do think prison would just break me. Like, I just feel like it is one of them things where it's so not me. I do feel like maybe people are a bit more prepared for prison where I wasn't, and I had my anxiety attack there, and I'll never forget it. And it was really scary, and I came out of that experience very sort of humble about having my freedom, having the choice to do what I want, and not being in that position of basically it being in the hands of God. That's what I felt like. I felt like I was badly treated as well. Like, I remember when I woke up, they knock on your door when they want to open the letterbox, like the small letterbox thing, and they opened it up and they gave me a bar, like just a small. It was a small Cocoa Pops bar. Do you know what I'm on about?
Like the cereal bars.
Bar, right?
Yeah.
But it's a really small one, like maybe this big.
Peasant
and
size.
I thought, well, like, I just said, like, oh, sorry, could I have some breakfast, please? Like, could I have some food? And the guy looked at me, gave me like a good stare, and then said, that is your breakfast, and then slammed the post box thing down. And I just thought, what? Like, I just didn't. I just didn't think it was possible, considering that I was not technically I was not a prisoner.
Yeah.
I was just being held in a cell. I just thought that is just so not on. Like, but you know what? Who am I to start sitting down and writing a letter of complaint? Obviously not. But there were a lot of flashbacks, like other things from my mental health. I remember being bullied a lot in school, but I felt like that was actually quite positive. And I didn't let. I do feel like with bullying, like as you've sort of been bullied, you either go one way or the other way.
Yeah.
And one way is actually coming out of it stronger and better, and actually being thankful you got bullied, because that's exactly what I am. Leaving school, I'm actually happy.
Makes you a stronger person.
Low life people bullying me, because it actually really helped me build character, build confidence, sort of like actually clear things up in my head, if anything. But obviously the other direction it can go, it can go completely into self-destruction. You can completely go, you know what, these people are on my back and they are saying horrible things about me, maybe they're right.
You've just got to use it as like a character building exercise. But like when you were saying about you were a prisoner, that's effectively where my second, sounds really bad when I say the second lot of mental health affected me, but this was even worse. Like, so this was during the first lockdown, so relatively recently. Obviously, my living situation. I rent a room in a shared house, and it's effectively during lockdown. Obviously, you can't go anywhere. So I felt like a prisoner in my own house, and everything that was going on at the time with work, and like, so I was struggling at work. Like, again, didn't want to, I don't know, admit that there was like a mental struggle, let's say, since maybe like maybe December. So even like last year, things were going wrong at work. Like, my opinions weren't necessarily taken into consideration, and like when I went into a management meeting, it was, if I said something, it was a shit idea. If someone else said the same thing, it was an amazing idea. So it's like trying to think like mentally, and I said in the meetings a few times, because as I said, I'm quite an outspoken individual, and I said to our manager, I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, what's wrong with me saying something? And and someone else said the same thing. And at the time, I thought that maybe it was because I was a man, like, because it was a female-dominated management team and I was the only male. So I thought maybe that was the case. And then it just so happens that every time I did something, or every time I had a meeting, it was like, Sam, you did, like, if I had like 10 tasks to do, they were like, Sam, those 9 tasks that you did, smashed it, you did so well. But we're only here to talk about that one thing that you didn't do. And I'm just thinking, so I've done 10 things correctly, which is, fine. But you're going to only focus on the negatives. And then when lockdown happened, every day for about 3 weeks, I'd have a member of management just say, Sam, can you join this meeting? And no warning beforehand, Sam, can you join this meeting? Yeah, I can join the meeting. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Every day for about 3 weeks. And it just really, really like built me up inside. And it was until I spoke to yourself and a couple of our other friends, that I kind of realised that I am struggling with mental health again, and you guys kind of really pulled me through that. And I used I'd say fitness, like going out walking, running, changing my diet, and speaking to people to try and actively make that change such a positive experience. Because I hope I never have to deal with it again, but should I ever have to go through that struggle, I know I have good people around me. I know what I've done previously, and I can kind of overcome that. So what I'm trying to say is, thank you, Jack.
Yeah, well, no, look, I'm always going to be there for you, mate,
Yeah.
as you are for me. And I mean, this is what I do want to say. Mental health, whether you're a man or a woman, it is essentially dealing with pressure, and it's about dealing with. So, say for example, with that situation that you had there, Sam, you had a lot of managers on your back, pushing you down and down and down, and not really. In this scenario with you, they weren't praising what you were doing right. They weren't giving you the time to actually go, you know what, pressure off, you've done well there, so well done on that, keep doing that. But just as friendly criticism, constructive criticism, please do that. Obviously, you're not going to get that with every person that you meet in life. So you've hit the nail on the head there, where when you get all that pressure, you have to release the valve mentally. You have to do exercise.
No, exactly.
You have to surround yourself with positive friends, or if you've got a partner or family, you have to realise that is essential. You cannot just accept that pressure and keep going forward and forward. You need to allow yourself the time to make sure mentally you can be positive and you can actually keep on top of that pressure. Because that's essentially how I see it from my perspective, that you have to just allocate pressure in mentally. And I can imagine there's loads of jobs out there that are constantly demanding pressure, and they're experts. Like, you look at like the most successful people in terms of like celebrities, they always, no matter what, make time to exercise.
Yeah.
Always make time. You've got 24 hours in the day, right? You can just use one of them hours to do exercise or whatever it is. I mean, Sam, for example, does walking, right? I'm not taking the mick out of that, but
no,
that's a good channel, right?
Well, I think the way that I do it, sorry to interrupt, mate, the way that I do it is I started, like, said in one of our previous pods, I've walked like 14 miles or something, but you can just, I don't know, for example, when I go for a walk, and I walk, maybe people don't even think is exercise, I don't know, but I will literally just be like, I'm going to go for a walk today, and I just walk. I don't have a plan of where I'm going to go. As long as I get home, I'm right.
But you know what's good about, with your situation, walking, it's literally just giving your mental space. It's about putting you in a space where it's actually for you. This walk is going to be good for me. Like, for example, when I go to the gym, I feel like that is actually doing something for you. It's good for you. Like, fair enough, going into work and earning money, yes, it's good for you, but money is definitely not everything, and it definitely will not help you mentally. Like, some people will be chasing money all their life, and it actually will not bring you everything that you want. Don't get me wrong, obviously you can buy a new car, you can buy a new house, that will make you happy, but it isn't the end all. That isn't the full picture. That isn't everything that you want.
That's only going to make you happy for a short period of time as well.
Yes, and you can't buy mental health. That's what we're trying to get in this podcast.
Definitely.
That it is important, and it always has to be measured. You have to check yourself sometimes. Like, I even asked Sam, "How are you?" Like, cut the rubbish. Like, actually, how are you? Like, I don't care about what you've had this morning for breakfast. Like, actually, how are you mentally? And that's important to actually, if you're doing well, just check in with your mates. Like,
definitely, I like that.
Like, give your stabilization to other people. Spread a positive energy to the people around you, because you only get that back when you need it. I'm going to have my bad days. Like, maybe I'm sounding a bit big-headed here and being like, oh, mentally I'm amazing, but no, I actually have horrific days. I actually have really stressful, pressurizing days, and nothing is better than talking it through with a friend, or trying to get some sort of like clarity on a situation. It's good to talk things out rather than bottling them up in your head, because I think men quite commonly do that. They allow things to ferment in the head, and just they bottle it up, and one day you just say that's enough and you go mental, and It's not
But
good. Like, you lose your temper.
The first step, genuinely, and the hardest step, I think, is admitting there's a problem and admitting like you're not
Not
correct.
okay.
Yeah, basically, and if I'm gonna put it out there, maybe not in the YouTube comments, but we've got other social media platforms. If people maybe want to message us and have said like, maybe if this chat has helped you, or if you feel like you're struggling, I'm very passionate about this subject, as I'm sure Jack is as well, because we both suffered with this in different ways. But I'd be more than happy to support anyone or speak to anyone that has had any sort of mental struggle, or maybe just a struggle in general, and you want someone to talk to. I see as all our followers, all our subscribers as mates, right? You're all our mates. I see at the end of the day. So as you've said, speak to a friend, speak to someone. Just if you feel comfortable talking to us about it, more than happy to speak to you.
Yeah. No, that's right. I mean, I envisage, when it's interesting when we're talking about mental health, because there's loads of things that pop up now and again. Like the most recent battle I had, which was, me and Sam do spend a lot of time and effort making this podcast, and I think I had the wrong interpretations when I started it, because I felt like, you know what, we're going to make this podcast, it's going to slowly grow and have eventually like hundreds and thousands of people viewing it. That's the interpretation I had, and obviously this is the 20th episode, and in our generation you can't help it, you are just going to be quite impatient.
Yeah.
So it really got on top of me. I actually said to Sam, I don't want to do. We were scheduled, I think, to do a pod, and I was like, you know what, like I'm really not up for it, because I had that really bad, that mind frame of no one's going to watch it, it's embarrassing. But you know what, like I've really turned a corner lately, and it's all about actually I'm doing this for me. I actually enjoy this. I don't care if there's thousands and thousands. I mean, don't get me wrong, it would be great if there's thousands of people watching, but it wouldn't be the end all for me, it wouldn't be, oh, that's the only reason I do it. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that certain things in life you have to realise, actually you enjoy it, so do it. Don't allow other people or other things to get in the way of that. Exactly. Go on.
Go on. No, go on, mate.
No, that is essentially my point. You can put that with anything. If you like making music and people take the piss out of it, that shouldn't be part of why you won't do it, or you don't want to do it anymore, because you're living in fear is not worth of what other people think or what other people might say. That is not how you should live your life. Unless you're doing anything harmful, then obviously not. But if you're not harming anyone, then why should it be an issue? Why should something like this isn't an issue? Because I know I'm trying to pass a positive energy, pass a positive message. That's
got there in the end.
Yeah, we got there in the end, but you know what I'm trying to say. That I'm just trying to express what happened to me and why I feel like other people can easily do the same thing.
Yeah, but it could be the tiniest things. Like for me, I think that yes, okay, we want the pod to grow. Obviously, we're not doing it for we're doing it for a laugh. We're not doing it just so one or two people can view it. Obviously, we're doing it so we can spread that positive message, as you've said. But ultimately, I remember, I think it might have been the week after I came to you and you were like, I'm still down about the numbers and all that. And then we recorded, I think one of our best pods. We had such a fun recording session, because we're there to support each other, and it may be coming across as cheesy. Like me and Jack, honestly, we are best mates. So it's good for us to, even if we weren't doing this pod, we would be having an hour-long conversation or something, just to kind of check in on each other and make sure that everyone's all right during lockdown. And I think that what Jack is saying, if you want to learn something, or you want to do something, if you want to start a podcast, something like that, honestly, talking to people about your ideas and being passionate about it, if they knock you down and say, oh, you're shit, you can't do it, I think we've used that motivation for the pod. We've used it someone said we can't do it, I'm going to do it anyway and show you that's why I'm doing it, this is what I produced, enjoy, basically. It's just just everything. You can turn everything into a positive, and I think like the whole mental health thing that I said in the last lockdown. This for me, like the pod and speaking to you on a daily basis as well, mate, is an opportunity for me to not slip into that. So it's really easy to slip in, but it takes work, but it's easy to kind of get out of that mental health struggle as long as you surround yourself with good people and you have a goal in mind of what you want to do and how you're going to get out of it. It can be done.
I like that, Sam. That's a very good sort of speech that you've had there. I'm quite happy with that.
Thank you.
I would just like to say I am going to leave a link in this video for anyone that would like further help and more advice on how you can improve your mental health. Also, please feel free, as Sam said earlier, to reach out to us privately if you'd like, or if you'd like to comment on the video, please do. We're all here to help. Any negative comments, obviously, I will delete straight away because I will allow negative comments on any other video other than this one.
Yeah,
all right.
I agree.
If you want to take the piss, do that on another video, because this is the one thing which I'm just putting my foot down and saying this is serious. So
it's a serious topic, and I don't appreciate hate anyway. Constructive criticism is fine, but as Jack said, this is actually for us a very serious topic, and we don't want to it being taken the piss out of, really.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that actually, because Sam reacts differently to I do with hate. I actually, other than this subject, I guess if someone did it on this video, on any other video, if someone hates it, I actually really enjoy that. I find that very comical, and it actually makes me, it's actually sort of endearing to me. It sort of encourages me. It's like, oh, you hate it. Lovely, because what I'll upload another video and you'll click on it and dislike it and hate it again, and then I'll do it again and again and again and again. And I find that really endearing. I know that's maybe weird for someone else, but I
get what you mean.
I mean, obviously you don't want to be hated by the world. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it is funny that you might have haters out there. You're always going to have haters. No matter what job you do, whatever industry you do, people are always going to criticise you or say, oh, I could have done this better, or oh, you're not doing it right, or you haven't got the right microphone, or you shouldn't have used the Blue Yeti microphone. Well, we did. GG.
Drop the mic. We've got that microphone.
Yes, we've dropped it.
Well, let's not, because it costs a bit of money, so let's not do that.
Yeah, it did cost a little bit of money. Well, Sam, thank you very much for this very positive mental health chat all about it episode.
You didn't want to talk about it. I feel like that we've spread a very, very positive message, mate, and again, people have seen a different side to us, and they can feel more comfortable watching the pod, I think, mate.
Yes, and they know a bit more about us, as you've just said, and I hope you have a great day. Be lucky,
and we'll see you when you're older.